Hey, everybody, got an announcement to make. Ding, 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 ding. I quit. Kiss my ass, everybody.
Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Alice falling out past what you know. Keep your eyes wide, stay in the glow. Alice falling, let the secrets show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Alice Falling. I am your host, Tammy, and with me, as always, is my awesome co-host, Dave. Dave, how are you today?
Good. What's good? What's up? What's good? What's up?
What's up is we have kind of a cool episode today, and I'm going to hand it over to you very shortly to talk about that. But before we get to that, I want to do some quick housekeeping on what is coming up on Alice Falling, because we have a couple really cool guests coming on that I'm really excited about, and I know you're really excited about them too. First up, we have Jason Wild. So if you don't know who Jason Wild is, you can find him on X. He is a hypnotist, and he knows everything about all things ancient history and has some really, really great, unique takes on kind of what our history actually is versus what we have been told.
Sick.
Yeah, super, super excited for that one. And then the other guest that we have, and this is kind of going to be a special edition episode that we are going to be launching on 9/11. So this year is the 25th anniversary of one of the most horrific tragedies that has ever happened in North America. And we have Jason Burmis coming on the show. If you don't know who Jason Burmis is, he helped produce the documentary that was responsible for waking up probably close to everybody in North America.
Right.
What actually happened in 9/11, and he produced Loose Change.
Sick.
Yeah.
That was a big part of my waking up.
Yeah, huge part of my waking up too. So I'm really, really excited for both of these guests. I think we have some really great episodes coming up. So stay tuned for those. Again, the Jason Burmis episode would be launching on 9/11. So typically we launch our episodes on Sundays at 7 p.m. But this one will be, I believe it's actually a Friday. So stay tuned for that. And then for today's episode, I'm going to hand it over to you, Dave.
Today, we have a full-blown 45 minute documentary created by yours truly. There's visuals for the whole 45 minutes. If you're watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify or anywhere else that doesn't have visuals, you're fine. I'd recommend watching it on YouTube because it does have visuals. But if you end up hearing any weird noises like popping sounds or hitting sounds, those are just transitions or stuff popping up in the actual visuals that are going on YouTube and then slightly later Rumble. And then as far as what the video itself or what the documentary is about is a couple of secret societies. I'm going to say words that rhyme with their names because YouTube isn't very friendly with promoting the names in the algorithm. So one of them is the Bavarian Bugatti. Yeah. And centered around that or kind of weaved into that is, I think I can say their name, like Frankists or Sabbatean Frankists. But however, they are the ones where I personally think, and I know I'm not alone in this, where a lot of people are angry at the little hat wearing country nowadays. And then the higher up or the elite echelon in that country being the Trianists. So the Sabbatean Frankists are kind of, or I think they're in charge of them, to tell you the truth. I think they're the puppet masters behind them, pulling their strings. And they get woven into the Bavarian Bugatti. And yeah, every so often we'll do something like this, but it's a full-blown 45 minute documentary with sources and nothing's made up. And it comes from like the 15, 20 books I used to put this all together. And the reason I did this is reading books and watching boring lectures isn't for everyone. So I try to make something that will keep people's attention. Scenes change every 4 to 7 seconds, and the information comes quick, but it's all pretty accurate with some with all kinds of sources. The end.
And for anybody that is not catching on to the Bavarian Bugatti, it also rhymes with Shaluminati.
Yeah, it sure does.
Also, for anybody that does not want to watch on YouTube, a quick reminder, we do have a Substack as well. So you can watch the video on Substack too. All right. Well, with all that said, let's get this going. Enjoy, everyone.
Enjoy the show. The Illuminati. Are they real? Who started them? Who's a member? What do they really want? Let's try to find out. Hit the intro.
I got flavor. Motherfucker, I'm ill.
Today, the word Illuminati is often said to describe an elite group of people occupying various positions of influence throughout society. The word almost has become a parody of itself and is often used to discredit any real discussion of what is going on behind the scenes. We can factually say the Illuminati were first publicly acknowledged on May 1st, 1776. However, the official name for this group or order was the Bavarian Illuminati. That's right, that's the full name, not just Illuminati. Other names suggested among members prior to launch were the Order of Perfectibilists and even Society of Bees. Boring! The creator was this guy, Adam Weishaupt, a professor of canon law at Ingolstadt University of Bavaria, Germany. Weishaupt was born on February 6, 1748 in Ingolstadt, today part of Munich, then capital of German state Bavaria. Adam's father passed away when he was 5, which left Adam in the care of his godfather, Johann Adam Freier von Ickstadt. Ickstadt was a professor of law at the University of Ingolstadt. Ickstadt gave Adam access to his private library. It was here young Adam was introduced to the works of radical French writers such as Rousseau and Voltaire. At age 7, Adam was enrolled in a Jesuit school, where he often got in trouble with the teachers because of his youthful ideals and love of free expression. At this point, we need to add a layer to this timeline by mentioning something else that is happening in the world around this time. Jacob Frank, creator of Frankism, and later member of the cult of all cults. Remember this name, we'll get back to him in another video, he's super important. Was arrested in 1760 by the Catholic Inquisition and imprisoned for 13 years. Upon his release, in 1773, he headed for Frankfurt, Germany, where he made friends with the House of Rothschild, including Mayor Rothschild, and was given the title Baron. Okay, back to our main storyline. I promise we'll examine those people more thoroughly in the future. They are extremely important. In 1768, at the age of 20, Adam graduated from the University of Ingolstadt with a doctorate in law. Around this time, he converted to Protestantism, despite his Catholic training. Thanks to his godfather again, Adam had access to books that were generally banned by the Jesuits, who tightly controlled Bavaria at the time. These forbidden books of ancient mysteries, cults, and paganism greatly influenced Adam to become a free thinker and seek out additional works by Age of Enlightenment thinkers. Age of Enlightenment was an era he was living in. If we go back to our side quest happening in our timeline right now, we find this going on. The year is 1773 and Jacob Frank, Satanist surprise, is forming alliances. First with Mayor Amschel Rothschild, banking dynasty starter of the Rothschild family. And some researchers say at this point he even made homies with Adam Weishaupt. However, some researchers say that happened a little after the start of the Bavarian Illuminati. The discrepancies above leave two schools of thought in this story. One, Mayor Rothschild influenced and financed the start of the Bavarian Illuminati and was kept out of the limelight for a while. Or two, Mayor Rothschild joins shortly after the creation of the Bavarian Illuminati and then has an influence on the order. A little background on this Mayor character. Mayor Rothschild was actually born Mayor Bauer, and he was the one that changed the last name from the Bauers to the Rothschilds. The Bauers were a notorious occult family of Middle Ages Germany. And Mayor Rothschild is famous for the following quote: "Give me control of a nation's currency, and I care not who makes the laws." Now back to our main quest. In 1775, Adam was named professor of law at Ingolstadt University, a position only held before by a member of the Jesuits. Adam, being Protestant, and his promotion further enraged authorities and pitted the young idealist against traditional faculty members, many of them Jesuits. Regardless, Adam's popularity grew with students and faculty. They respected Adam for his open-mindedness. They would hang out in his quarters periodically to discuss religion, philosophy, and the issues of the day. Topics included Greek and Roman cults. They also studied the works of Pythagoras. By some reports, these gatherings were similar to modern-day university student activities, as in there was drinking, music, and even the blazing of cannabis. Around this time, Adam was also initiated into Freemasonry, and as a student of ancient esoteric knowledge, he grew frustrated that no one in his lodge understood the occult significance of their own ceremonies. So now that Adam's grown up in our story, now would be a good time to update us on his influences at the time in his life. Who was he a fanboy of type of thing? Adam was greatly influenced by a merchant simply known as Colmer. One author termed Colmer as the most mysterious of the mysterious men. Colmer preached an ancient form of Gnosticism called Manichaeism. I definitely said that wrong. That had used the word illuminated prior to the 3rd century. Colmer had learned esoteric knowledge of Egypt and Persia. Colmer himself was admired by Cagliostro, a French court magician and revolutionary. Cagliostro was involved in Masonic activities with the mysterious Count of Saint Germain and Venetian lover Giovanni Giacomo Casanova. Mesopotamian influence on Adam can be seen by the adaptation of the Persian calendar for the Illuminati. Adam spent several years consolidating information and knowledge from the various influences mentioned, plus the Knights Templar and Assassins. And quite possibly by now, he's also having chats with the previously mentioned Mayer Rothschild, that's friends with Jacob Frank, member of the cult of all cults, so it's getting shady. On May 1st, 1776, the Bavarian Illuminati is officially declared an order, an organization. I don't know, but without a doubt, 100% this is the year and date it was publicly formed. Given everything that's going on, one believable theory on where the Illuminati name came from goes like this. The name Illuminati came from the Zohar, which is a body of works in the Jewish equivalent of the Bible called the Kabbalah. Zohar is the foundation of Sabbatean Frankist belief. In Hebrew, Zohar means splendor, radiance, illuminated, and so we have Illuminati. Others believe the name came from a small splinter group of Gnostics in Spain called the Alumbrados. It was founded by a Spanish Jesuit, Ignatius of Loyola. The Alumbrados taught a form of Gnosticism, believing that the human spirit could attain direct knowledge of God, and that the dogma of former religions was unnecessary to those who found the light.
Excuse me, everyone. Sex! Now that I have your attention.
What else happened in 1776? American Declaration of Independence. Adam Smith published The Wealth of a Nation. House of Rothschild was formally founded. Adam created 13 degrees of initiation in his Illuminati, the same amount of steps on pyramid money. Adam's Illuminati began with 5 members: Adam and his law students Franz Anton, Maz Elder, Andreas Suto, and a man named Bauhoff. However, the order grew quickly. A less talked about person that joined the order slightly after launch was William of Hesse, the employer of Mayer Bauer, aka Rothschild. So there you go, another connection of how they can be homies and friends and stuff. Rothschilds and German royalty have been connected by biographers through Freemasonry. Mayer's son Salomon was part of the same lodge as Mayer's bookkeeper Seligman Geisenheimer. Originally, the stated goals of the Illuminati appeared benevolent. They were to oppose and try to stop superstition, prejudice, religious influence over the masses, abuses of government power, and gender inequality. Others saw the order and its members as anarchists or descendants of the Knights Templar and the Assassins, and some as nothing less than worshippers of Satan intent on dominating the world. The order recruited swiftly, including from the various Masonic lodges Weishaupt belonged to. In an intercepted letter, Weishaupt is quoted as saying that certain secret traditions were above the comprehension of common minds.
Shut up, bitch!
Adam showed his desire to mold Illuminati members to his will by writing, "We cannot use people as they are, but begin by making them over." Alright, let's take a break here. We got the ball rolling, and in the next video we will switch focus to understanding the methods of operations for the Bavarian Illuminati, along with their goals straight from the mouth of Adam Weishaupt. We will also include quotes from the numerous historical figures acknowledging the existence of the order. Don't forget the earlier mention in the video about the cult of all cults. This cult will also be examined when the time is right. Until then, just remember who plays a role in said cult that we've discussed so far. Comment below if you learned something from this video. Feel free to correct me on something or add in information I missed. Our perception correction journey continues in the next video. See you there. It was not my intention to doubt the doctrines of the Illuminati, and the principles of Jacobinism had not spread in the United States. On the contrary, no one is more fully satisfied of this fact than I am. George Washington, 1782. Last time on Perception Correction, we set up a foundation for better understanding how the Bavarian Illuminati was created and by who. Yep, Bavarian Illuminati is the full proper name of the most famous secret society that you either know nothing about think it never existed, think they existed but were irrelevant, or think they currently run the world behind the scenes today. As we learned, this guy, Adam Weishaupt, started the Bavarian Illuminati in 1776 with help from this guy, Mayer Bauer aka Rothschild, and at some point this guy, Jacob Frank, a member of the cult of all cults. Watching the video before this is pretty much necessary before starting this one, so you know where we are in the story and how we got here. So let's continue our perception correction of what and who was the Bavarian Illuminati. In this video we will learn about how the Illuminati was structured, the methods utilized to complete their goals and control its members, while sprinkling acknowledgements of their existence from previous world leaders. Weishaupt wrote this in a letter to a former student of his and fellow Illuminati member. Immediately under me, I have two into whom I infuse my whole spirit. These two in turn correspond with two others and so on. In this manner and with the simplest means possible, I will inflame 1,000 men into action. Similarly, this is the same method by which secret societies necessarily operate within the political sphere. Secrecy was the key to Illuminati control. A man by the name of John Robson, I don't know, look how it's spelt right here. I want to pronounce it Robinson, but it's not, it's Robson. He was an Edinburgh University professor, a Freemason, was invited to join the Illuminati in the late 18th century. After investigating the order, he published his findings in a book titled Proofs of a Conspiracy Against All the Religions and Governments of Europe, carried on in the secret meetings of the Freemasons, Illuminati, and reading societies. Robinson quoted from Weishaupt's letters to fellow Illuminati. Here's one from a work called Die Neuesten Arbeiten des Spartacus und Philo in dem Illuminatum-Ordern, written in 1794. Definitely butchered that.
And I gotta admit, I don't think I give a fuck.
The great strength of our order lies in its concealment. Let it never appear in any place in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation.
Today, Junior?
None is fitter than the 3 lower degrees of Freemasonry. The public is accustomed to it. Expect little from it and therefore takes little notice of it. Next to this, the form of a learned or literary society is best suited to our purpose. By establishing reading societies and subscription libraries, we may turn the public mind which way we will. In like manner, we must try to obtain influence in all offices which have any effect either in forming, or in managing, or in even direction the mind of man. Illuminati cells were kept separate with leaders knowing only the names of their immediate superior or subordinates. This tactic has been used in modern times with the structure of the communist cells operating outside the old Soviet Union and today's terrorists. To add to the secrecy, codenames were used in correspondence. Weishaupt was known as Spartacus to his fellow Illuminati brethren. Other codenames which were mainly taken from classical literature or mythology included Alexander, Cato, Pythagoras, Socrates, Hercules,
Huh? What, you want some dick?
Odin, Confucius, and Osiris. Even cities and locations had codenames. Vienna's code was Rome. Austria's was Egypt. France was Illyria. Despite Weishaupt's animosity towards the Jesuits, he did end up borrowing their pyramidal structure to use for the Illuminati. Along with that, he incorporated structures of Freemasonry by using a similar system of degrees, esoteric instruction, and secret methods of recognition. Okay, so anyways, the Illuminati was organized into 3 primary classes: nursery, the masonry, and the mysteries. Then these classes, again, were divided into parts with various degrees. So I'm going to provide a brief run through of this structure right now, but if you're interested in a deeper dive, may I suggest this book. In fact, I've read 3, 4, or 5 books by this author, and I'm yet to be disappointed, so go check that shit out. The nursery class was subdivided into 4 degrees: preparation, novice, minerval, and illuminatus minor.
You fucking nerd!
The preparation degree was just the starting phase of recruitment. The focus was figuring out the initiate's views on the church and the state. The candidate only knew the name of his recruiter, called an insuator, and was unaware that the Illuminati had spies called scrutators, whose job was to constantly surveil new members. Upon entering the novice degree, shit started to get a little more real, as the kids say. The aspiring member was forced to sign an NDA called Silentio, along with being given a notebook. I know, a notebook, watch out. During the 1 to 3 year probation period, the novice was asked to keep a log of the following things inside the notebook he was given: the weaknesses, prejudices, actions, financial status, and interests of everyone he met, including his own family, friends, and even strangers. He was told to write down his thoughts about any local or national news event, activity, or story. He was also asked to record his thoughts about his recruiter, aka brother insinuator. the brother insinuator was a huge factor in the initiate moving up throughout the ranks or not. Novices were also conditioned to be obedient. They had to take orders from their superiors without question. They also had to keep their mouths shut about the order's activities. The masonry class was divided into 2 parts, containing a total of 5 degrees. Symbolic, which is part 1, consisted of the apprentice, fellowcraft, master mason, and illuminatus major degrees. Part 2 was something called Scottish Knights, which contained illuminatus dirgens / Scottish Knights. In the symbolic degrees, the candidate was told the Illuminati secretly controlled all Masonic lodges. The candidate was also asked to play a game called Know Others.
I want to play a game.
This required the member to describe in detail other Illuminati members right down to their physical appearance, facial features, tendencies, education, emotions, and even sleeping habits. Creepy. In the Illuminatus major degree, the member was required to write a complete biography on themselves called a pensum. This was then compared to the views his brother insinuator and fellow initiates had on him. If the notes and information matched, well then the initiate was allowed to move to a higher degree and learn deeper hidden secrets of the order. If they didn't, well,
you're shit out of luck.
By the time you were a Scottish Knight degree, you were a well-vetted individual and could be made an administrator for the order, which in some instances involved being put in charge of an illuminized Masonic lodge. The final grade, called Mysteries, was also divided into 2 parts with 2 degrees in each part. Part 1, Lesser Mysteries, had the following degrees: Prince and Priest. Part 2, Greater Mysteries, had the following degrees: Magus and King. The degree of Prince usually consisted of top administrators in the order. During induction for this degree, the candidate's hands were tied to symbolize the bondage of state and church tyranny. The password for Prince was Redemptio. That's it. It just means redemption. That's all I got. The degree of Priest meets once a year to perform a ritual called a synod, in which they arrived to blindfolded via a horse and carriage. Illuminati priests were given the choice of directing one of the following sciences: physics, medicine, mathematics, natural history, politics, the arts, or occult sciences. Priests were taught that great wealth could only come at the expense of others. Candidates for priesthood were presented with a choice of treasure, including gold, jewelry, a sword, a crown, or a coarse woolen robe. If you chose the robe, you would advance. Who would have thunk it? A candidate with his utter dedication proven to the order was permitted to enter the top-level circle of initiates as a magus. The rank of magus sat directly below the position or degree of king. The position of king was strictly occupied by Weishaupt himself. Next up, methodology. 18 to 30-year-old young men from wealthy and well-connected families were especially sought out for membership. Convincing academics and clergy to join the order was large in thanks to the charitable and philanthropic public image that was created for the order by the order. Many believe the Illuminati was a Christian effort to unify society into one big happy society. Weishaupt explained, "These powers are despots when they do not conduct themselves by principles, and it is therefore our duty to surround them with its members so that the profane, non-illuminated persons may have no access to them. Thus we are able most powerfully to promote interests. If any person is more disposed to listen to princes other than the order, he is not fit for it and must rise no higher. We must do our utmost to procure the advancement of Illuminati into all important civil offices." So, buddy's pretty much telling you right there to listen to people from the order itself above any people of authority in society. Weishaupt also said, "Behold our secret. Remember that the end justifies the means, and that the wise ought to take all the means to do which good, the wicked take to do evil." So basically, if lies, theft, murder, wars, and deceit result in a mission accomplished for the illuminated ones, then that's okay. Illuminati were indoctrinated with the Weishaupt blend of esoteric knowledge. Weishaupt also took on a philosophy that has always ended with horrible results, a philosophy shared by numerous tyrants including Hitler. "Man is not bad," Weishaupt wrote, "except he is made so by arbitrary morality. He is bad because religion, the state, and bad examples pervert him. When at last reason becomes the religion of men, then will the problem be solved." The few members who proved especially dedicated to the order were awarded all the benefits available to them. For Weishaupt once wrote, "The power of the order must be turned to the advantage of its members. All must be assisted. They must be preferred to all persons otherwise of equal merits. Money, services, honor, goods, and blood must be expended for the fully proven brethren." At this point, the breadcrumb trail of information from numerous sources ties in the Illuminati with communism with what many may call the most dangerous book in history, and then that book back into the Illuminati. That coming full circle, I'm not going to try to touch this topic about this book until I'm more educated on what's going on there. Alright, let's call it a day here. Thank you for joining us for hopefully episodes 1 and 2 now on the Illuminati. We're going to throw a little curveball into our story timeline. Instead of continuing on with the Illuminati, the next video, which will be the third in this series, is going to go and finally do an introduction to the cult of all cults, because they are rather important as to what's going on here and future on in the history of the world. So hopefully you'll join us for that, and until then, Satanists, genuine ones, are peculiar people. They aren't ignorant peasants or semi-literate natives. Rather, their ranks are filled with doctors, lawyers, businessmen, and basically high responsible citizens. They are not a careless group who are apt to make mistakes. But they are secretive and bonded together by a common head and desire to mete out havoc on society. It was Aleister Crowley who said, "I want blasphemy, murder, revolution, anything bad." The above quote is from serial killer David Berkowitz, who said he was part of a satanic group that orchestrated his murders. The quote is taken from letters he wrote to a church minister. Welcome to the video. Go like and subscribe. If you've watched previous videos, hopefully you've realized I put effort into entertaining you while getting this information across to you. If you don't like and subscribe, you're pretty much telling me you hate cute little puppy dogs. If you regret subscribing down the road, just unsubscribe, it's free. This video is a prequel, timeline-wise, to the information in my previous 2 videos, so if you want the bigger picture and full knowledge of what's going on here, make sure to watch all 3 videos.
Booyakasha!
The cult of all cults, it's time for an introduction. Hit the intro.
I got flavor. Motherfucker, I'm ill.
So is it really the cult of all cults? I think so. Other authors and researchers have convinced me so. How do you even measure such stats to award such a title? Anyways, you decide on your own. The story of this cult spans a few centuries and has 2 vital leaders part of their history. So let's get started. Meet this guy, Sabbatai Zevi. See, I just called him Sabbatai Zevi, but like through my research, there's a whole bunch of different pronunciations for his name. There's Sabbatai, and then Zevi's pronounced a different way, and different spellings and stuff. So my apologies if I'm getting it wrong, but I'm gonna stick with Sabbatai Zevi, no offense. Zevi was born in 1626 to wealthy parents living in Anatolia, which surrounded most of Asia Minor and Turkey. Fast forward to 1666. Yeah, that's right. Zevi is currently a Kabbalist rabbi. At this point, he decides to declare himself the long-awaited Jewish Messiah. I can only imagine how that went down, quitting his day job, but like getting up and being like, "Listen up, I quit, everyone, I quit. I'm the fucking Messiah now. Fuck this job."
Hey, everybody, got an announcement to make. Ding, 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 ding. I quit. Kiss my ass, everybody.
Regardless, he was reportedly a charismatic leader, and in a rapid pace he obtained half of the Earth's Jewish population as his followers. Members were forbidden to marry outside of their cult. There was even a system put in place to keep children unaware of what the cult was really about until they reached a certain age that deemed them trustworthy. Zevi and his followers came to be called Sabbateans. Then, yet again, I found a million different pronunciations. Well, not a million, 3, 4, 5. Sabbateans, Sabbatians. I'm gonna stick with Sabbateans, or whatever comes out of my mouth, no offense. A contributing factor to his popularity also came from Zevi's use of the Lurianic Kabbalah, named after Rabbi Isaac Luria, a 16th century mystic who proclaimed a new version of the Kabbalah which used numerology and codes to predict the coming of a Messiah. Zevi and his followers practice an inverted form of religious practice.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man.
They believed that by breaking old Jewish laws and traditions, the new Messiah could more easily lift them up to redemption. They feasted during fast days, ate food forbidden by Jewish dietary law, and believed in reincarnation. Another aspect of Sabbatean theology involved secrecy. Robert Seffer, anthropologist and author, wrote in his 2015 book, 1666, Redemption Through Sin, explained the Sabbatean view of secrecy. The theme of a secret, hidden, or occult identity became a part of this evolving religious philosophy. In essence, a true act cannot be committed publicly before the eyes of the world. Like the true faith, the true act was concealed, for only through concealment could it negate the falsehood of what is explicit. Through a revolution of values, what was formerly sacred became profane, and what was formerly profane became sacred. So yet again, let's remember this premise. Sabbateanism was not a form of Judaism, but an inversion of everything that common Judaism stood for. No joke, no over-exaggeration. Whatever was forbidden by Judaism was encouraged and sometimes even commanded of Sabbateans to do. This included incest and what would today be called Satanism.
Hell, Satan.
Zevi even encouraged and told his followers to celebrate acts of evil and argued for feelings of guilt to be ignored. Zevi also foretold about a return to the promised land for Jewish people. An authority on the Kabbalah, Israeli historian Gershom Scholem, sorry if I butchered that name, described the Sabbatean movement as the largest and most messianic movement in Jewish history. Zevi was expelled from Jerusalem by rabbinical leaders due to his unorthodox views. Zevi ended up finding support from the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. However, the rate at which Zevi's faction grew quickly made the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire uneasy. At this point, the Sultan presented Zevi with an ultimatum: your head or the turban. Some other researchers and authors say the Sultan threatened Zevi with torture. Regardless, the test was, if Zevi truly was the Messiah, he can just resurrect himself and shouldn't be scared of being beheaded, tortured, or killed. The turban option meant he had to convert to Islam if he was passing on the beheading or torture offer. To the dismay of his followers, Zevi became a Muslim and took the name of Aziz Mehmed Effendi. Some supporters still managed to turn this negative into a positive, and since they believed Zevi was the new Messiah, they foresaw this news as an opportunity to merge the two religions. When Zevi chose to convert to Islam, around 300 families part of the Sabbatean cult decided to do so as well. Well, just in theory, they secretly were still going to be Sabbatean. These people notably became powerful in the politics and business of Salonika, today called Thessalonica or Thessaloniki in Greek Macedonia in the southern Balkans. Salonika was a major center for Freemasonry and the birthplace of the Young Turk movement, which overthrew the Ottoman Islamic rule in Turkey. But that's me getting ahead of myself, let's stay focused. They continued to practice the goals and rituals of Sabbateanism behind an Islamic disguise and became known as the Donmech, which means to turn, which is ironic because their turn to Islam was a fake one. Many research and authors have concluded that Sabbateanism was a modern version of the religion of Sumer and Babylon, and can be likened in its beliefs and sacrificial practices to today's Satanism, because in many ways, it is today's Satanism. Zevi passed away in 1676. The movement's leadership was taken over by this guy, Polish-born Jacob Frank, who claimed to be the reincarnation of Zevi, as well as the biblical patriarch Jacob, to the Donmech people as he encountered them traveling through Turkey as a salesman. Adopting the practice of posing as something one is not, Frank persuaded his followers that they needed to pose as Christians in order to preserve themselves. Frank taught that the overthrow and destruction of society was the only way to save mankind. Sabbateans, under Frank's leadership, became known as Sabbatean Frankists. Sabbatean Frankists ended up using a belief system that was more fucked up back when they were just Sabbateans, that neglected the strict Judaic rules, including those on decency and even wife swapping, incest, and sex orgies were permitted. Do what thou wilt was preached by Frank, along with the Gnostic view that the Old Testament God was evil and that the best way to imitate the true God was to breach every old moral code.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Do as thy wilt? That sure does sound familiar. Weishaupt also said, "Behold our secret. Remember that the end justifies the means, and that the wise ought to take all the means to do which good, the wicked take to do evil." I mean, it's not the same thing, but they essentially mean the same thing, then just in different words. Frank explained that in order to become free, one must throw off all conventions. He also practiced this philosophy by converting to both Islam and Catholicism. He slept with certain members of his cult, including his daughter Eva Frank.
That's not funny, you sick fuck.
Some have gone as far to call Jacob Frank an occultist and black magician. Frankism involved animal and human sacrifices and declares that Lucifer is the true god. Pedophilia, Satanism, human sacrifice went wherever Sabbatean Frankists went. Frank believed that if salvation can be brought upon by purity, it could also be achieved through sin. Rabbi Marvin Antelman describes Frankism in his book To Eliminate the Opiate Volume 1 as a movement of complete evil. Gershom Scholem, a Jewish professor that I mentioned before, said of Frank in his book The Messianic Idea in Judaism, "In all his actions, a truly corrupt and degenerate individual, one of the most frightening phenomena in the whole of Jewish history. Infiltration has been the foundation technique of Sabbatean Frankists since their inception. The process of being one thing while in fact being something else became the calling card of the Sabbatean Frankists. Frank was also responsible for the infiltration of the Vatican and Roman Church. Many Donma turned again, this time to Roman Catholicism, with the intentions of taking over the power structure. So to recap, the Donma in Turkey officially converted to Islam in 1683, and the Frankists in Europe to Catholicism in 1759. The purpose of these conversions was to take over and destroy these faiths. This modus operandi continues to this day, many researchers believe. Pose as a supporter of whatever religion, culture, movement, or political party you want to control. Then maneuver your people into positions of power and influence in the form of ministers, advisors, politicians, executives, etc. Frank, like Zevi, was excommunicated by traditional rabbis. Frank wasn't bothered by this though, as he still had the backing of the House of Rothschild, whose inner core are Sabbatean Frankists and not Jews. As we learned from previous videos that I made, Frank spent time in jail, and after he got out, he made his way for Germany. So as we remember, Frank made his way to Germany, and according to Marvin S. Antelman, Chief Justice of the Supreme Rabbinic Court of America / biochemist, Frank also during this time became suddenly wealthy, because he was supported by who? Mayor Amschur Rothschild, who had established a banking house in Frankfurt around 1764. Remember the previous Illuminati videos? Well, go check those out if you haven't, because after making those videos, while researching this video, I ran into some additional information that kind of gives like a notice that we're on the right track as far as information goes. Ready? Here we go. In 1773, Jacob Frank formed an alliance with two other Sabbateans named Mayer Rothschild and Adam Weishaupt. These three would go on to create the Bavarian Illuminati in 1776. The Illuminati would be a manipulating force behind the French Revolution and the American Revolution. Weishaupt would later become a Protestant Christian but Sabbatean style, which as we've learned means in the public eye only, while still secretly behind the scenes being a Sabbatean or Sabbatean Frankist, whatever. In 1785, a horse courier suffered an accident, a courier that was carrying correspondence between Weishaupt and fellow Illuminati members. This is how the public Illuminati bubble was burst. The documents fingered Weishaupt and his plan for world domination. Since a lot of books on the matter seem to reference this one book, To Eliminate the Opiate Volume 1, I had to go buy the book and read it for myself. Lo and behold, 47 pages into the book, and I read the following sentences from the author. If you've watched previous videos on this channel, you'll know why I'm mentioning this. The author, Marvin S. Antelman, said the following thing on page 47. There is no argument about the relationship between the Illuminati and the Jacobins, who executed the terror during the French Revolution. There is no argument among prominent Judaic scholars as to the Frankist influence on the Jacobins and the Reform movement. The Illuminati, formed in Ingolstadt, Bavaria, paralleled the Frankists, which were formed in Offenbach in both geography and time, both in Germany. We shall demonstrate there is a relationship between the Illuminati and communists. The author continues to speak about people like we did, such as John Robison and Professor Gershom G. Solom. Let's see what some other authorities on the subject matter have to say about the information in this video and previous videos. Henry Makow wrote the following in his 2015 book, The Half-Jewish Conspiracy. The satanic plague devouring humanity originated with the Sabbatean Frankist cult, a satanic Jewish movement based on the Kabbalah that absorbed half the Jews of Europe in the 17th/18th century. They were chameleons, pretending to convert the Satanist Jews infiltrated and subverted all important religions, organizations, and governments. They are the progenitors of the Illuminati, Zionism, communism, fascism, and they control Freemasonry. The NWO, brackets New World Order, is their goal. In 1988, Rabbi Gunter Plaut described Illuminati founder Jacob Frank in these terms and implied that the Nazis were a Sabbatean Frankist creation. Author Livingston also saw the Sabbatean Frankists as the force behind the Illuminati, the Nazis, and more modern events. He wrote, "It is easy to recognize the origin of communism and anarchism in this demented philosophy. It is easy to recognize the terror of the French and Bolshevik revolutions, the Soviet gulags, and Nazis' concentration camps.
Today, Junior?
The killing fields of Cambodia and China, the shock and awe of Iraq, and the dust of the World Trade Center. Many Jews were tricked by the Frankish communist promise of economic justice and public ownership."
Gotcha, bitch.
Aight.
Booyakasha.
Let's call it a day here. Intro videos to the Bavarian Illuminati and the cult of all cults are in the bag. Next up, we're going to examine how the Illuminati officially came to an end and whether or not they could have secretly carried on their ways. Spoiler alert, the trail leads to yet another secret society. You know the deal. Subscribe, like, follow, share, comment, and all that stuff. But for now, like a fat kid in dodgeball, I'm out. In 1794, Duke Ferdinand of Brunswick, who was a Grand Master of Freemasonry and an Illuminati initiate since 1783, wrote the following to fellow Masons. I have been convinced that we, as an order, have come under the power of some very evil occult order, profoundly versed in science, both occult and otherwise, though not infallible, their methods being black magic, that is to say, electromagnetic power, hypnotism, and powerful suggestion. We are convinced that the order is being controlled by some sun order, after the nature of the Illuminati if not by that order itself. In this video, we will examine the demise of the Bavarian Illuminati and the possibility that their mission was handed down to others that continued their work. Go watch the videos before this if you want a better understanding of what is going on. Subscribe, like, share, follow, all that stuff. That's enough time wasting. Let's get this party started. Hit the intro.
I got flavor.
Motherfucker, I'm ill.
By the spring of 1784, Illuminati membership had grown to just under 3,000 thanks to Adolf Friar Nisch and Company, along with two other influential free agent signings by the Illuminati. Duke Ferdinand of Brunswick-Luneburg and Prince Karl of Hesse, both of which were considered important figures in Freemasonry. Nisch did not get along with Weishaupt, and in April 1784 he resigned from the Illuminati, promising to give back secret and sacred property of the order and to never divulge information that he swore to keep secret. Nisch was quoted as saying, "Where does his unrestrained passion lead? Had I ever believed this man capable of such low and ungrateful behavior? And it was under his band that I was to work for mankind? That is to say, under the yoke of such a pig-headed man? Never again." So anyways, this Nisch character obviously thought Weishaupt was too fucked up to be involved with. That's what that quote says to me. Moving along. On June 22nd, 1784, Karl Theodor, the Duke of Bavaria at the time, issued the first of several rulings banning all secret societies, including Masons. Adam Weishaupt, the creator of the Illuminati, not only set out to deceive the public, but also reminded his top followers that they should hide their true intentions. Weishaupt wrote that members must, speaking sometimes in one way, sometimes in another, so that one's real purpose should remain impenetrable to one's inferior. How do we know Weishaupt said this? Let me tell you. In 1785, a horse courier, some sources say this person was not merely a horse courier but also a friend of Weishaupt's and an Illuminati member, was traveling from Frankfurt to Paris when he was reportedly struck by lightning. And then again, some sources say he just suffered an accident. Regardless, as a result, a considerable amount of correspondence was retrieved by authorities. Documents linking Weishaupt to the Illuminati and their plan for world dominance, along with a membership list of names, were part of the bounty. Still in 1785, Karl Theodor issues out another edict, this time outlawing the Illuminati and requiring active members to repent and register with the government or face more severe consequences. Back in Ingolstadt, administrative authorities of a special commission to investigate the Illuminati were stepping up the pressure on the order. A lot of Illuminati members that were questioned by this Inquisition ended up making formal confessions. The investigation revealed that many members of the Illuminati were part of the military, state officials, professors, and teachers. This should come as no surprise to viewers of this channel, seeing as we've already mentioned this. Illuminati priests were given the choice of directing one of the following sciences: physics, medicine, mathematics, natural history, politics, the arts, or occult sciences. During this time, Weishaupt fled and sought protection by the Duke of Ernst in Regensburg. The Duke even sent letters to Karl Theodor asking him to back off Weishaupt, claiming because Weishaupt was part of his privy council, that made him immune from warrants. Shit really hit the fan when in October of 1786, thanks to the documents found on that horse courier, police raided the home of Franz Zwack, a member of Weishaupt's inner circle we've mentioned in previous videos. At his place, police found a stockpile of Illuminati documents which included descriptions of the order's symbols and Persian calendar they used, membership rosters, instructions for recruiters, ceremonies of initiation and imprints of the order's insignia, several hundred impressions of government seals for the purpose of counterfeiting, instructions for making poison called aqua tofana, recipes for poison gas and secret ink, an infernal machine for safeguarding papers that would apparently blow up if opened incorrectly, and instructions on how to build that machine. May I remind you the year is 1786 right now. Author Stauffer had the following comments based on these documents he sought out and seen as a part of his research. By the admissions of its leaders, the system of the Illuminati had the appearance of an organization devoted to the overthrow of religion and the state, a band of poisoners and forgers, an association of men with disgusting morals and depraved tastes.
Boom. Roasted.
By 1787, the legitimate intentions of the Illuminati began to be perceived by the public. As mentioned, the seized documents included plans for a global revolution, and it was clear that this was to be accomplished by covert groups using secrecy and deceit. It was clear that this was to be the work of only the most illuminated, which meant educated and well-placed individuals of the time. Due to this, the Bavarian police had to operate slowly, carefully, and tediously in their investigation of the Bavarian Illuminati. As a result, the police examination of the Bavarian Illuminati was starting to uncover some vulgar information. Accusations ranged from simple insurrection to Satan worship and even human sacrifice. The death blow to the Illuminati came when further raids uncovered the order's intentions of opening its doors to women, which was considered an absurd proposition in the 18th century. On August 16, 1787, Duke Karl Theodore issued a third and final edict pertaining to the Illuminati. Anyone recruiting for the Illuminati would be given the death penalty was part of said edict. We are told that this destroyed the Illuminati as an organization. However, this definitely didn't silence them. Teachings and membership lived on. Weishaupt and his critics exchanged jab after jab, claims and counterclaims via pamphlets and letters. Certain Illuminati members not fazed by the laws created against the order continued to hide themselves within the ranks of Freemasonry. Having successfully merged with Continental Freemasonry earlier in that decade, they simply went further underground. Their goals were advanced right on through the secret roundtables of Cecil Rhodes in the 20th century, backed by the powerhouse Frankfurt Lodge, which was under control of the Hessian royalty, the Rothschilds, and their associates. Some former members turned against the order. Leopold Alois Hoffmann, a Mason that joined the Illuminati, was influenced by Rosicrucian information opposing the order. Rosicrucians went as far as creating a mini-network of spies within the order. By 1790, those that didn't embed themselves in Freemasonry simply fled to other countries while retaining their loyalty to the order's philosophy and ideals. Illuminati orders sprang up in France, Italy, England, and even America. In 1789, John Robison, fucked up weird last name guy is back again, warned all Masonic leaders in America that the Illuminati had infiltrated into their lodges. And on July 19, 1789, David Papin, president of Harvard University, issued the same warning to the graduating class and informed them of the influence of Illuminism was having on American politics and religion. To top this off, John Quincy Adams, who had organized the New England Masonic Lodges, and also the 6th President of the United States, issued his warnings in the form of 3 letters he wrote to top Mason Colonel William L. Stone. In the letters, Adams exposed how Jefferson, that's right, Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, was using Masonic lodges for subversive, illuministic purposes. Those 3 letters at this time can be found in the Wittenberg Square Library in Philadelphia. So Jefferson, founder of the Democratic Party, was a member of the Illuminati. As we've learned, these people love to infiltrate and subvert, so the infiltration of the Republican Party began. To me, it sounds like the birthing moment of the uniparty concept well known to researchers today. While in exile, and to close out his life, Weishaupt lived in Gotha, Germany, where he taught philosophy at the University of Göttingen. In November 18, 1830, Weishaupt died. He was survived by his second wife and 5 children. Prior to his death, there are reports that Weishaupt prepared a revised version of the Illuminati, which under various aliases was to organize, finance, direct, and control all international organizations and groups by working their agents into executive positions at the top. Some reports also claim he made amends with the Catholic Church, but if you've been paying attention in the series, that meant Sabbatean Frankist style, where he was just pretending to be something he isn't. I would just like to mention that loads of information about the French, American, and Soviet or Russian revolutions being influenced by the Illuminati does exist. Later on in our journey, we will return to examine those events, but right now it's time to introduce and delve into a new group of people to the channel. The year is 1832. Not even a full 2 years has passed since the passing of Weishaupt. A man by the name of William Huntington Russell is returning to Yale from Germany, where he studied for around a year. William Russell's head was filled with the philosophy of reason as taught by George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel at the University of Berlin. In Hegel's worldview, the state is absolute reason and individuals must give their total obedience to it. The state has supreme rights over individuals, and individuals must recognize that their supreme duty is to the state.
Gay!
Those close to Russell claimed that upon his return, he had intentions of starting an American chapter of a German secret society he found deeply interesting during his time in Germany. That being said, still in the year 1832 at Yale University, William Huntington Russell partnered up with his buddy Alphonso Taft. Together they founded what we know today as Skull and Bones.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look forward...
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction.
Thank you for watching. Coming up next on our perception correction journey will be an introduction to the Skull and Bones, aka Brotherhood of Death, aka the Order. All right, thank you for watching, everyone. As you saw where we left off, and whenever we get back into the video series, we'll be getting into the Skull and Bones out of Yale University in the States. It will connect into everything, and it's just, I don't know, it kind of makes me sick to my stomach that this all connects, and it will all connect once we get even further to present day with the World Economic Forum and whatnot. So thanks for watching, and here's Tammy.
Thanks, Dave. Great episode. Thank you for putting so much time and effort into your video, because God knows I do not have those skills. So thank you for that. Looking forward to seeing the next ones, and also looking forward to our next 2 episodes coming up. We will talk to you guys soon, and thanks for joining, everyone.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Alice falling out past